Nostalgia creates unfair standards for video games and their developers. Often gamers look back to their favorite time in the game's history and expect the game to get back to that time. Fortnite Season 3, Destiny 1, The Taken King, and countless other examples come to mind. The issue is that these games reached their peak for reasons entirely out of the developer's control. These games were at their peak when they were new, and new games bring so much with them. New communities, so people are making friends and meeting people. New concepts, so people fall in love with the game because it's fresh and different from anything they've seen before. And guess what else comes with new games? A thriving player base offering quick and easier matchmaking as well as limitless opportunities to network. After a game has aged enough, getting back to the concepts that made these games hit wild peaks and literally impossible, yet many gamers demand we get back to the good old days of the games they play. It's an unfair standard to push on the developers. Be grateful for those great times that were provided. Continue to push and advocate for necessary changes in your game of choice, and recognize that some aspects of what made these games so incredible are not able to be recreated. Another note, nostalgia can often cloud our memory too. We often forget about the bad parts of the game that have been corrected or improved since.
Interesting. And a really interesting tweet as well, because when you had sent that to our chat, I think immediately we started discussing just how very true Grenadier Jake's points were.
Definitely, man. It's just unfortunate, like, and it's funny because because we're like consumers of like these games that we're playing, and especially Destiny, we can't help it but like be like, oh man, what it would be like to go back to the good old days of like Taken King and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And it's, I think he has a point. I kind of agree with them, because when you have a fresh new game and then you have these fresh new initiatives, it's really hard to create with a game that's kind of like been around for what, 5 or 6 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, because it's just to put this into context for everyone. Destiny 2, Destiny was our main game, but recently Destiny 2, right now, if you guys know the game, has taken a big dive bomb, and people are complaining left, right, and center, and people are just the game is such in a bad state right now where it's kind of unfair, because we always judge Destiny 2 against Destiny 1, even though Destiny 2 has more plethora of content, like way more, and I mean, like, it's not even like funny how much more. But Destiny 1 always seems to be a standard for us to refer to because it's nostalgic. But you're right, from that tweet he does mention that we often forget the mistakes that those games had, because even though Taken King was good, Destiny 1 did have its fair share of problems. Like I remember the lack of activity at one point, the lack of loot. But I agree with you, Simba. I really do think that nostalgia with whatever game, especially, they can be the same for anime as well. It's like
true.
people comparing Naruto is better than Boruto, but well, we think it is better. Like that's not nostalgia, that's facts.
Yeah,
that's facts. But I think it'll be unfair for consumers now to judge Boruto and Naruto, but based it on nostalgia, because there may be some people, like, it's funny because my little brother mentioned a few things about Boruto that he liked, and he honestly thinks that the story it flows better, Boruto. The first 50 episodes, he was telling me that it flows much better, but I was like, bro, you're only 15, 16. What do you know about how stories supposed to flow? Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Like it's funny you say that, because I didn't really think about applying it to anything else but gaming. But like the fact that you said like you apply it to anime, like I'm already thinking about like how people compare it to like movies and like TV series. Like it's just the problem is that it's hard to emulate another response to a game, like the same kind of response. Like I remember when Taken King came out, it was like the first time. Was that when they remastered all the raids? Was that Taken King? No, Taken King was. Oh no, Taken King was what's his face?
That was Oryx.
Yeah,
that's when they fixed a lot of the issues in the game and hit them. It was the biggest DLC at the time to come out.
Yeah. I think in general, just Destiny 1's like lifespan and like what they done was kind of like that's what people are trying to get back with Destiny 2, but it's really hard, eh? It's really hard, and that's the problem when you set like a high standard with a game. Like, I don't know what game developers can do, like, to kind of like meet that standard.
What Grenadier Jake said about that part where he said that it's completely out of the developer's control, like how the game got to that point. Like, that's so true. Like, sometimes a game reaches such like reaches a height that, you know, it's kind of like euphoric. And even it's funny because even the developers don't know how the game got so popular, and they don't know themselves how to recreate it, because if they did, then I don't think we'd have that problem. You know what's funny? What they should have done with Destiny is that they should have just carried on with the way Destiny 1 was, and just everything, shooting mechanics, like, you know, this, like, just everything just be Destiny 1, but just keep giving us expansions, right? I don't think they should have worked on a Destiny 2, because the first thing we noticed is that when you play Destiny 2, the mechanics were a bit off there. You know, they didn't feel like D1. Like, it's, but like I said, like, when you showed me that tweet, I thinking now as a person who has a brain instead of thinking by feelings, is that Destiny 2 is actually this is when Forsaken came out. It was a really well thought out game up until that point, and they did really good things to fix it. But like I said, man, we just keep going back to Destiny 1, don't we?
Yeah, man. And that's just, it just shows what Grenadier Jake is saying, like, is just completely true for us consumers of games, man. And it's, I think we do have to take like a page out of his book and, you know, really appreciate what's been done already, and then we just got to move on. And that's what we're doing, you know. We're moving on to other things, not necessarily staying with Destiny, but, you know, I'm happy to say that, you know, Destiny was a part of my, you know, gaming history, a huge chunk of it, to be honest.
Like,
I don't think
I've
never pumped so many hours into a game until Destiny came along.
I feel the same way.
But yeah, it's I think not only that, but like, not only Destiny, but you have also like other competition as well with the games that are releasing alongside, you know, Destiny 2 and any other games. You know, it's not only comparing it to the game itself that in the past, but you also have like other games that are releasing as well that people will compare it to, or people will end up going to instead of that game, because they have like a, you know, mechanic that they like better. So not only is it competing with nostalgia, but it's also competing with, you know, what's being released at the time. And there's always a lot of hype with new games, man. Always a lot of hype.
It is. It's I mean, innovation to me is what keeps the gaming industry alive. If you're not able to innovate every year or every time you come out with a new game, then people are just gonna stop playing your game. I mean, it's kind of compare it to Nintendo in terms of innovation. Like, if you're gonna if you talk about graphics, like, Nintendo had taken so many years to even innovate to get, and now I think the best you can see it is a 720. That's the max.
Yeah,
I think that's the max that you can play the games at, and it's crazy, because instead of them innovating what the visual effects, which things that look pretty, they've just focused on gameplay, and it's always been the gameplay that's kind of pushed Nintendo games far ahead of the pack when it comes to gameplay. But I think innovation versus nostalgia is that's going to be an ongoing battle. It's definitely going to be an ongoing battle, because, you know, when you sent me the pictures of those tweets, immediately I thought of Destiny. It may be because Grenadier Jake is a well-known Destiny streamer as well. So if the big streamers in Destiny are feeling this way, because yesterday I was watching a video by As the Cross, another big Destiny streamer, gamer, content creator, and he's never made like kind of videos where he says he's sick of stuff. He's always making like positive stuff about the game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And it's the first time he's made a video about him being upset with the game and the way Stasis, which is the new subclass in Destiny, is ruining the game. And I don't think Bungie has addressed it yet and hasn't said anything about it, which is why a lot of people are up in arms. So yeah, any final? You got any final thoughts? Any final things to say about nostalgia versus innovation?
Not really, but like
Yeah.
I think that's what, you know, at the end of the day, these gaming developers, you know, they are trying to be innovative, and it's a hit or miss every time, you know, like with Destiny 2. And I remember how you were saying before, like they should have just kind of like copy and pasted Destiny 1, or they should have just carried on with Destiny 1 and come out with DLCs and not change anything about it. But then
There's nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong with it.
There wasn't anything wrong with it.
There was nothing wrong.
Where Destiny 1 finished, it ended on a high, which was really cool. But then, like, you know, I think what's going on in the mind of game developers is that, okay, guys, what can we do to make this better? And that's always going to be, and it's always going to be a hit and miss, man. But you know, this is unfortunate. The Destiny community, it's really opinionated, got a lot of opinions, and it is sad to see that a lot of you know, people who are up there in the Destiny community, like as the Cross and all that, you know, that they're falling off Destiny, and that just say something big time. Just say something about says a lot about it.
That's, I've got nothing else to add to it. You know, that was a beautiful way to wrap that segment up.